think initially we became a nation outraged, and understandably so. But sometimes in the heat of outrage, you end up embracing decisions that in retrospect are not the best. And as a result of that, we are substantially less free in this country. I think we're stronger when we protect and expand our basic civil liberties, when we remain true to what should be and what have been the ideals of this country, and not compromise them. No, I think that we do need to, the legacy of 9/11 should be that it caused the nation to make some wrong turns, but ultimately the nation turned itself around and corrected some errors. That's what I would like to see the legacy of 9/11 be, that we turned out to be stronger than that. I identify with, I think, what might be called the more scholarly part of the 9/11 truth movement. I don't embrace any one conspiracy theory. It is important to note that the official version of what happened is itself a conspiracy theory. It said that 19 hijackers with some backers, probably including Osama bin Laden, according to that theory, conspired to hijack planes and take down these buildings. So we're really talking about alternative conspiracy theories. There's been a tendency to kind of label the whole 9/11 truth inquiry as, well, they're just nutty conspiracy theorists, and you know, of course that's ridiculous, because we all know what happened. We all saw the planes hit the buildings, fire started, and then the buildings came down. And on the surface, of course, that seems very reasonable, except that when you think about it, that's a classic fallacy. The fact that the buildings came down after they were hit by planes and fire started doesn't prove that the planes and the fires were what brought the buildings down, particularly not Building 7, which was never hit by a plane and collapsed at part of it at free fall speed, and all of it at very nearly free fall speed. And then you start looking and you start to ask some questions. Yeah, certainly the buildings were seriously damaged, but these were buildings that were designed to withstand the impact from a jet airliner. Hundreds and hundreds of tons of structural steel, all collapsing at nearly free fall speed, and all of that concrete blowing up into dust and being spread for blocks around. Really? Falling down almost in its own footprint. That starts to raise some questions. Did something else go on? And since then, the more scholarly parts of the 9/11 truth movement, the groups that are on 9/11 Scholars for Truth and Justice, they put out a peer-reviewed journal called 9/11 Studies. Architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, over 1,500 architects and engineers have studied this. Physicists have studied this. They've submitted it to peer-reviewed journals. They have shown there's a lot of evidence to believe that something else brought those buildings down besides just the jet impact and the fires. I'm not one of those people that says, oh, you know, it was holograms and the planes were never real, or, you know, something else at the Pentagon. And there are questions about the Pentagon, but I do believe a plane hit the Pentagon. And part of the problem is people hear some of these more far out things and people think, oh, well, the whole 9/11 truth movement, they're all crazy. But no, there is a serious inquiry. And you start with the proposition that a real investigation was not conducted. And where we should probably be united, in my view, is in demanding a real, true, independent, thorough investigation to get to the bottom of what happened and resolve any doubts about what happened to the extent possible. That's what many of the families of the 9/11 victims want to see happen. Their questions were not answered by the 9/11 Truth Commission, by the 9/11 Commission. They still want to see justice. And considering that 9/11 has been used as the excuse for so many policy actions, both domestic and foreign, we owe it to ourselves to get to whatever the truth is. And that's where I come down on that issue.